so here we are, Vivian and all, with today's Unblinded Real Raw. Thanks for being here. Unlocking influence as a superpower and exploring with incredible heart-centered, integrity-based people its contours. So Vivian, how are you?
I am so fantastic. Happy to be here after a week and just so honored to be in the presence of so many wonderful people, brilliant speakers, and people that are here to help spread the good cheer and reinventing ourselves too.
Yeah, let's get down to it. Like, where were you? Like, you were missed. Like, you disappeared into like the galaxy of like fun and vacation. Like, where were you?
I wish I had something to say except that I just unplugged from social media and I had family over. I made beautiful food and reconnected and redirected a lot of things that I wanted to do and had time to be creative. And hung out by my pool, which was amazing, and got a lot of sun and did a lot of walks outside.
Awesome. So thank you, Vivian. Welcome back. And let's get to our amazing guests and judges. And also, maybe we can add a little bit of fun, Vivian. And for each person at the conclusion of their awesome bio and who they are, a quick fun fact. Like a fun fact for Vivian would be, what's a fun fact about you, Vivian?
Oh. A fun fact about me is that I went skiing in Japan and I wiped down an entire family. And I spoke in 3 languages to get them to get out of the way, but they didn't.
That is an awesome fun fact. Yeah. So with that energy, take us in.
We have Dr. Steve Taubman. Woo! And, woo, baby, I'll be here. He is the best-selling author of Unhypnosis, How to Wake Up, Start Over, and Create the Life You're Meant to Live. He's also a world-class speaker who has dedicated his life to showing people how to thrive through their challenges, drawing from his own experiences as someone who recreated his own life several times, not only as a speaker, hypnotist, chiropractor, but also a magician. I did some digging on you.
Whoa.
I did some digging on you. He is known for blending neurology, holistic health, mindfulness, positive psychology, and hypnosis into a unique system for living a balanced life, free of neurosis, and is currently focused on the impact of the subconscious mind on health and wellness, helping individuals overcome chronic pain, anxiety, and stress-related diseases so they live a life of adventure, passion, and possibility. And while we were all slacking, having fun, he was conducting 6 hypnoses over the weekend on July 4th.
Hey, Dr. Steve, can you like potentially hypnotize Vivian while we're on the show?
Well, that's always a possibility. I'm just impressed that she said hypnoses, that she knew the plural of hypnosis.
Yeah, and what would you like to go by for purposes of the show? Dr. Taubman's, Dr. Steve? Like, what's the
Dr.
best?
Steve. Dr. Steve is good.
Dr. Steve is good. Excellent. All right. So welcome, Dr. Steve. Where are you physically in the world today?
I'm right outside of Lake Champlain over here. I'm just almost close enough to get wet. Lake Champlain's right down the hill over here, and I'm looking at Whiteface Mountain out my window.
That is beautiful, beautiful. So in upstate New York, I presume?
No, I'm on the other side of the lake. I'm in Vermont.
Oh, you're in the Vermont side. Very, very cool.
In New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So very, very cool. All right.
Outside of being a magician, what's another fun fact? I see a guitar back there. You play music?
Oh, yeah, I do. I do play a little guitar. I've written a couple of songs, but nothing as impressive as Dan's songs. But I know my way around the thing a little bit.
Beautiful. So Dr. Steve, quick fun fact.
Oh, I thought that was my fun fact. Now I'm gonna have to come up with another one. I can curl my tongue.
That is a beautiful fun fact. Right? Now that's a fun fact. All right, Dr. Steve, welcome. Excited to have you here. Vivian, we have another amazing contestant.
Yes, we do. We have, hailing from Utah, we have Dan Clark. Dan Clark is the CEO of Clark Success Systems, an international high-performance consulting firm. Dan leverages his business acuity and life-changing experiences to help companies, sports teams, entrepreneurs, and government agencies massively improve. He has spoken to more than 6,000 audiences in all 50 states and 71 countries on 6 continents to millions of people. He's also a university professor, an award-winning athlete who fought his way back from a paralyzing injury that cut short his football career. I know. He's a best-selling author. He's written 35 books, including The Art of Significance, Achieving the Level Beyond Success. He's one of the most sought-after speakers in North America and was honored by the U.S. President Ronald Reagan with the Presidential Service Award and was inducted into the Professional Speakers Hall of Fame. He's one of the top 10 motivational speakers that are most sought after in the world, and he's an adventurer, philanthropist, and get this, a gold record songwriting recording artist.
Wow.
Mic drop. Dan Clark.
Dan, brother,
Wow.
you're like 35 books, like crazy presidential awards. You've been busy, sir.
You notice Vivian didn't say 35 good books, so let's move on quickly.
So Dan, welcome. I bet you coming from Utah today.
Sure. Thanks, Sean. It's an honor. I looked you up, and you're making a huge difference. And I love to, when I get on the program with people like you, I love to remind all of us about what Stephen Jobs said, that we need to hang out with people who are crazy enough to believe we can change the world, and you're one of them, Sean. So thank you so much for having me.
Dan, it's an honor, brother. It's an honor. And I'll drop in, well, ask you to drop in with a quick fun fact, as though, you know, presidential awards and 35 books aren't enough, but quick fun fact. Can you curl your tongue?
No, that really kind of intimidated me. When I was 12 years old, I was in a weekly television series on CBS, and I was the voice of a cartoon character. So most people don't realize that when you hear someone speaking and in a dialect that you can actually understand, it's a really good chance that it's me on the credits.
This is
I
like,
can't believe I just did that.
yeah. So, and Dr. Steve's going to analyze any associated neuroses, dynamic, but, you know.
We've already been through
Dan,
that.
so Dan, what was the show?
Man,
So Dan, what was the show?
It was called 47 Happiness Way. It was kind of the precursor to Family Affair, if any of you are old enough to remember that show. And
I remember Family Affair with
I was
Buffy,
a
with
12
Buffy and,
kid.
yeah, right?
oh, yeah, I was uglier than a mud fence, as they say. When I was born, the doctor slapped me, and then he went out in the hall and slapped my dad.
We're having some fun.
At age 15 or 16, they
For
started.
those that this is your first,
I couldn't get a date because I
sorry.
was so ugly. They kept looking at me when I was 12.
so listen, for those that this is your first Real Raw, this is not normally what it looks like, but this is what we hope it looks like every day with this amazing amount of fun, energy, and incredible people. So Dan, Dr. Steve, welcome. And we have 3 awesome judges, Vivian. And Vivian, this is because you're back. Like magic is happening. But go ahead.
I love you. Thank you. No, I think I'm so lucky to be here, so I'm so joyful. We have Rick Denley in from Toronto. Woo! And if
Toronto's
you
in the
can
house.
see him, he has such a setting. He has a microphone. He has his book in the background and some other, I don't know what that is, and I want you to tell me what it is in a minute. But anyway, Rick Denley is a transformational growth expert, and for the past 30 years has been in the corporate world, running multinationals and more importantly, developing tomorrow's leaders. Rick also works with consulting firms, including Growth Point Advisory Team and Crestcom Learning Centers, advising in sales, leadership, and combining strong mentoring skills, coaching tactics with real-world knowledge to assist individuals and organizations alike break through their growth ceiling and reach their full potential. Rick is the best-selling author of his book that he has with him, Reinvent Yourself, is a keynote speaker, coach, mentor, and undefeated amateur boxer,
Whoa.
raising up to $1 million to fight cancer.
Wow.
And he is the proud father of 2 adult sons that he helped coach in competitive hockey for many years and helping them reach the ranks of university and junior A levels of competition. So welcome, Rick Denley.
Rick, brother, a lot happening there too. This is like an amazing day of folk. Thank you for being here, Rick.
Thank you, Sean. Glad to be here very much and be with all these great people and definitely high energy, which I love.
Yeah. So Rick, when did you hang up the gloves?
Well, it's an interesting story. A couple of years back, I decided that I wanted to do something philanthropy-wise, and I wanted to raise money and awareness. And in this case, it involved fighting cancer, a disease that affects, 1 in 4 in North America. And it was something that I wanted to pursue. And I did it in a little bit unorthodox means where they take people like myself that have never done anything like this, and they train you for months on end to become a fighter and actually be part of a Vegas-style gala event night with 500 people, and you step in the ring with your newly found experience, and you actually have a fight. But overall, we're fighting cancer. We're building awareness and funds to try and get rid of this terrible disease. So that's why I took up the hobby and then liked it so much. I pursued it and then kept going in different bouts. So,
Well, brother, welcome. I love the story, and this is like an incredible day of really unique people. So welcome. And Rick, where are you calling in from today? Oh, Toronto. You're in Toronto today?
I'm in Toronto today. This is where I was born and raised, extensively traveled through business and other means, but this is home for me.
Beautiful. Well, welcome, brother.
Thank
And
you.
Vivian,
What about a fun factoid? I didn't hear a fun
oh,
fact.
fun fact. Besides the fact you're an undefeated amateur boxer, yeah, we need one more fun fact.
Let's see. Without bending over, standing straight up, I can scratch my knee.
Without bending over, standing straight. Whoa, that is impressive.
I have to try this now.
Really?
Yeah, so you probably can imagine.
I'm gonna try that as well. Let's see.
I'm trying to
I
do this.
definitely-
How do
Yeah,
I
I
do it?
definitely cannot do
Oh,
that.
you mean that? Oh, that
That
is hard. I can't do that. You need to have like long arms, like a gorilla or something.
Or really high knees.
That's why he's undefeated in boxing.
One.
Amazing.
You
All right.
you just brought up a bad memory now, and I finally understand what my junior prom date was doing.
Oh my God. Vivian, we have lost all control. So Vivian, who is next?
We have Felix Lynn, CIO, baby, Chief Inspiration Officer at Confidently with a K. He believes that igniting people's passion is his true calling in life because it's the best way to have a massive impact in the world. His vision, is to help executives break through their limiting beliefs and inspire massive culture change, and he utilizes practical leadership psychology, something he's done for over 20 years now. He establishes powerful, energized cultures with both leadership teams and company employees, and fosters best practices in culture-based hiring and sales teams, and helps connect outstanding talent with hiring managers. Felix is a game changer facilitator and culture program builder for multiple organizations, including a top Silicon Valley entrepreneur incubator, global youth empowerment programs, tech conferences, sales teams, and even the empowerment of gang leaders. #guns down, man up.
Oh,
Very
love
cool.
it.
He even conducts interactive breakthroughs, keynote talks, culture workshops, and coaching for leaders, including Tony Robbins Leadership Academy with events up to 850 people. So welcome, Felix.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
It's
And where
an
are you
honor
calling
and
in
a
from?
privilege to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Felix. And where are you calling in from today, Felix?
From Los Angeles.
Oh, awesome. So, Felix, thank you for the work you're doing with gun violence and, working on things in the inner city. How is that, any insights into some of that experience?
When I first went there, I had no idea what it was going to be like working with gang leaders. There is one outstanding entrepreneur named George Taylor that is making a huge difference. He's pulled together 3 different gangs, and they are all, like, over the last 3.5, 4 years now, they're all working together. They've reduced gang violence in Wilmington by 80%, and he's done it by turning them into business owners.
Amazing.
They're creating a brewery down there called True Colors, and it is an incredible group of people to be around. I didn't realize. I see now that opportunity is like, if you give people opportunity, they will just grab it. And I know that this is what this program and what, Sean, you're all about as well, and all the guys in here are about. But when we give them opportunity like that, they completely transform. It's amazing to see, like, a gang leader who was, on the streets, but now, like, was working in a bank learning marketing because that's what he wanted to do his whole life. And now he has his own marketing agency. It's insane.
Dude, that's incredible. I'm super appreciative, Felix, of the work in the world. I was a Columbia undergrad political science major, and one of the authors that we studied was William Julius Wilson, who wrote a book called The Cocaine Kids. And The Cocaine Kids is essentially, William Julius Wilson's, hypothesis that's consistent with what you're sharing, that given the right opportunity for legitimized entrepreneurship, that's what people really want. And that book was about people that grew up in the drug trade in the inner city, and them stepping forward into legitimized or legal entrepreneurship. And I don't want to open a crazy can of worms right now. I've never done. I'm not judging in any way, shape, or form. I just make these 2 statements, but it just feels right in this moment. I haven't said this ever before, and I'm blinded, with the microphone. But I've never done drug in my life. I've never smoked marijuana. I've never, if that's not a drug or not, I don't know. But never, any narcotic substance. I've never taken an opioid, period. I've had surgeries, never taken a painkiller.
Wow.
I believe wholeheartedly that legalization of all drugs, which I'm not for using anything, But the legalization of all drugs, I think, would substantially support the inner city, taking away that option that's there. But that's my own 2 cents, and that's a much more complicated conversation, I understand. But thank you for the great work you do in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. So Vivian,
wait, we need a fun fact after that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So fun fact, ever since COVID started, we have turned into farmers in Los Angeles. We have corn growing in the backyard. We have 6 chickens. We have 5 guinea pigs and 2 dogs. And one of our dog is now running the chickens around the yard. So it's become wild in our yard. It's awesome. It's amazing.
I love it. Gotta love nature. Gotta love nature. So
I'm thinking of Tony Rodriguez right now. I'm having like flashbacks.
Yes, exactly.
Tony's a good man.
Well, welcome, Felix. And
Thank you.
last but certainly not least,
We have, and I left my girl for last in a pink top. Woo! Lauren Samulka. In 2003, at 23, Lauren and her family created the County Seat newspaper, working out of their home. After 11 years and much deliberation, Lauren decided it was time to take a step back from publishing and focus on all county media. All county media has become a vital part of the business, focusing on public relations for government agencies, private businesses, and political campaigns. Lauren is currently president of all county media and works with an amalgamation of clients, but primarily focuses on all facets of the political aspect of it, from candidates seeking office, beginning with municipal councils, all the way up to the federal level and other campaigns. So Lauren also serves as the executive director of the Hackensack Regional Chamber of Commerce. Lauren is proud to work with the very organization that helped to get the county seat off the ground. She now focuses on helping other small businesses get started and do great things in the community. So welcome, Lauren.
Thank you.
Lauren, welcome. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah. And where are you physically today?
I'm in Ramsey, New Jersey.
Oh, beautiful Ramsey,
North
New Jersey.
Yep.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Hackensack, New Jersey, not very far.
All right. A Comet? Were you a Comet, or did you go to a public?
No, I went to private school.
Can I ask which?
Immaculate Heart.
IHA. That
Yes.
was the Eagles, correct?
Correct. Blue Eagles. You got to get the
Blue
color.
Eagles. I'm sorry, the Blue Eagles. Well, welcome, Blue Eagle. Thank you for being here, and truly appreciate you. And what's a quick fun fact, Lauren?
I don't know if I have any good fun facts. You guys were kind of impressive out there today. Well, I guess since everybody here seems to have published something, even with all the business experience I've had, I did not publish a business book. I did, however, just during the quarantine, publish a children's book.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Well,
What's the
it was
name of it,
fun.
Lauren?
I don't know if it's amazing, but it was fun.
That is
What's
fun. Thank you.
What's it
What's
called?
the name of it?
It's called The Traveling Letter A, and it was from when my children were little, like a case of the Traveling Letter A. And my son, who read very, very early, was playing a game with my mother, and they had to find the letters. So now the book is 2 detectives named Alex and Abby, and the letter A is disappearing, and they have to figure out why. And so from that came, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we get through the rest of the alphabet.
That is extraordinary. Well, welcome,
Now, meanwhile,
Lauren.
my son is 10. It took a few years to get it done, but
You please
Hey,
send me
done.
can you send me an autograph copy? 7th grade was my senior year.
That is very funny. So, Lauren, welcome. And last, and
Thank you.
certainly not least, Vivian, we have another color in the building, and this one's orange.
Yes, it is Mr. Orange, who has orange crushing it and is always crushing it. And he will describe, because he's an entrepreneur, he's a Benjamin Buttons entrepreneur. He started at 8 years old, so he's been at it for over 50 years.
And he's created the Orange Movement, creating massive acceleration and supporting people with his wisdom and genius as an entrepreneur. And he's also had the very unique privilege of becoming a focal character in Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny dynamics. So, Mr. Frank Clark, how are you, sir?
Sean, I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, thank you. I got to tell you think you got a great tan going over here. You're either in the tan.
Yeah, you're looking so nice, Sean.
Yeah, Sean,
Well,
you're good.
you know, we try. So I can't see it. I don't know if you guys know I'm blind, so I can't see my tan. But yes, I've been told that I am tan. So it is present. So thank you, Frank.
It's quite
Yeah.
becoming.
Fun to be
And
here.
Frank, a fun fact.
I love your pink hair, by the way.
Yeah, I was thinking stripes, right?
Whoever put
I
the
appreciate
pink
that,
on
Dan.
it, that's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm working hard at that as well. So I'm trying to rival Gerald Rogers' blue hair, actually, with my pink hair. Thank you. So Frank, what's a quick fun fact?
Well, then other than having pink hair, I used my power of influence one time to actually break into Radio City Music Hall for the sole purpose of sneaking myself on stage and singing New York, New York while somebody filmed me so I could say that I actually
Ooh,
performed in Radio City.
That is amazing.
That is so awesome.
Mr. Orange, Frank Clark. All right, so Frank, welcome. And guys, this has been a longer round of intros, but in case people are like, hey, let's get down to it, we kind of have. Like the first portion of what we do in the Real Raw is we connect. And what does it look like if you have a lunch or a dinner or a meeting with some amazingly successful, cool, heart-centered people, and you just connect. And that's what we just did. Acknowledgements, validation, fun facts. So that entire first section of what it looked like to build the emotional rapport and group dynamic, people feel appropriately acknowledged and validated. At least I hope. By the way, my name is quick, backdrop on me. I've been studying influence for a long time. When I realized that it's what creates access to the money, time, and magic you want in our life. I was an athlete growing up, captain of the Columbia University baseball team until my hereditary eye disease, retinitis pigmentosa, robbed me of getting drafted and going on to the next level. I was captain and 4-year starter. I went on to law school and found from there, once I became an attorney, what I thought was my dream job, that folks in the business world needed to create their own ability to generate business to have freedom. And I went a crazy binge of learning. I wanted to quit. I was scared. I had no idea about business development. I built a 40-person law firm in 2 years, starting from scratch on my credit card, no contacts whatsoever, and $100,000 of law school debt. And I was like, oh my God, why don't other people know that this is that doable? Like, it's crazy, because I was a relatively introverted person. And I'm like, I can't believe this is what's possible. I thank Tony Robbins for initially his work unlocking my fear, teaching me about modeling, and it went on from there to the works of Jay Abraham. Incredible book, How to Make a Fortune from Public Speaking. And those were the things I started doing back 23 years ago. I currently have a 125-person law firm. I built and sold 2 companies and exited. And I own, I think, at least 5 companies today, depending on how you count it. Could be more because the law firm could subdivide into a whole bunch of others, but it's at a minimum 5, and working very hard on this. Influencing influencers to merge ecosystems to make the world an even greater place. This platform is to get our message out there that influence is a superpower and to explore its parameters with tremendously successful heart-centered people like the fine people are here today. My fun fact for today is I was bumped by a shark, I think it was on Thursday, and 10 hours later, an 8-foot shark was pulled from the ocean right there. There was some debate if it was a bull or a tiger because it was a fast release. And that could have been the shark that bumped me. I don't know that it was, truthfully, but I was definitely bumped by a shark, and that's what happened. And I love nature. I live in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. I surf regularly. I'm blind. So I surf every day that I can. I was very upset because I had a 45-minute break today through all the fun stuff we're doing. And it started lightning. They said, the beach is clear. I tried to sneak back, but they were like, no. So that was that. And we had turtles, Vivian, laying eggs in the backyard this weekend randomly because there's a turtle crossing right across the way. And turtles were everywhere, all over the neighborhood in southern Long Beach Island. And everybody was walking into each other's yards, following turtles that were laying eggs. So that's my weekend.
Awesome.
We're here.
Well,
Yeah.
Sean, I have to tell you, the reason I'm dressed like I am, although you can't see it, and my shirt says Long Beach Island, I drove up from there 2 hours ago and walked in the house right when this started. And we have turtles every single day there.
Amazing. Lauren, air knuckles, air fist bump. And
Seriously, it's very cool.
And where is your home on LBI?
We are on the Bay side, on the Bay in Beach Haven West.
Amazing.
So
okay, so
they come right up our backyard. Them and the horseshoe crabs.
The horseshoe crabs abound.
Very cool. Very
cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Lauren. Vivian, there's just a lot happening today. As you can see, it is definitely time, however, to drop in with our amazing and fine folks. So here's how it works. So for Dr. Steve and Dan, the role player is Frank, and you're going to communicate with him in one conversation, divide in half, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. About halfway through, he's going to be, hey, I got to take a quick call. I'll be right back. And what you're going to do in the first round, judges, we're assessing the creation of emotional rapport, not just like a connection, depth of connection, so that Frank is leaving feeling seen, heard, and understood, which is why Oprah said she held a microphone for 30,000 people. She said, I left people feeling like I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters to me in her final episode. That's what we're assessing in round one, along with putting something at stake. Depth of connection is one thing, putting something at stake that matters to Frank is the second piece. Then the second round is the conveyance of their heroic unique identity, AKA unique selling proposition. I like heroic unique identity vibration a whole lot more than that. It goes deeper, it's richer, and then moving to a yes. So round one is creation of rapport, putting something at stake. Round two is solving that challenge and moving forth in agreement. You don't have to sell anything. Frank could be anyone. This could be about leadership. This could be about a book deal. This could be about contributing to a charity, a joint speaking engagement, or simply a longer meeting and conversation to follow up from these 6 minutes. So with that said, we're going to drop in and say, Dan, I have a 1 or a 2 under the table. Do you think it is a 1 or a 2?
2.
It is a 2. Dan has won the toss. Would you like to go first or second in the first round? If you choose first, you get to keep your choice in the second round.
I'd like to go second.
Excellent. All right. Dr. Steve, the question's going to be, who do you want Frank to be? And again, it's a yes that you're up to in the world of any sort. A sale, a client, ecosystem merger, something larger. What is it? Who would you like Frank to be, Dr. Steve?
Oh, Frank, who would I like you to be? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make like you and I are having a conversation in the context of a discovery call to determine whether or not the work that I'm now doing in what's called psychoneuroimmunology, which is body-mind medicine, if I could be of service to you. So you've come to me or you've set up a discovery call with me to tell me about your health issues, which are either chronic pain or anxiety. I guess we keep it to one of those two. And I'll just play it that way. How's that?
Okay, I'm the one that has the chronic pain.
Yeah, unless you want to talk to me and talk me into doing something with you.
No. We'll let you be the influencer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Great. Okay, so Dr. Steve, you have 3 minutes, sir. Take us in.
Okay, great. Well, hey, Frank, how you doing, man?
Good, Dr. Steve. How you been?
Good. Thanks for getting in touch with me, and this is great. Listen, man, out of respect for both of our time, I thought what I would do is set kind of a quick agenda for us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions and then give you a chance to ask a few to me as well. At which point, if I think I can help you, I'll tell you. And if I don't think that I'm the guy for you, I'll let you know that too. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome, man. So Frank, what brings you to the call today? What's on your mind?
Well, Dr. Steve, I understand that you help people with chronic pain. And, you know, I've been a fighter for a long time in my life. I have black belt in martial arts and I like to box now. And I've just noticed that my shoulder is in constant pain. I have a hard time sleeping on it. And yet I don't want to give up boxing. You know, I enjoy the sport.
Yeah.
And I go to physical therapists and some of them are, you know, they put me on a decent program. I go to I go to surgeons and they want to cut me open. They want to, you know, they want to cut me up, and I would prefer not to have to do that route.
Well, it sounds like you're a pretty proactive guy. I mean, you're somebody who wants to do the best you can and be out there and not have to be laid up, right? And
correct.
You know, depending on who you go to, that's where your diagnosis comes from. Like they say, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So what's important to you about not having that pain?
Well, it'd be great to sleep better, you know, because if you don't get a good night's sleep, you know, it affects pretty much everything going on for your next day. Mm-hmm. You know, your metabolism, your weight, stress, all of that is affected by not getting a good night's sleep. So having to wake up and, you know, be in some bit of pain, that's aggravating.
And did I hear, where do you live again, Frank?
I live in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, yeah. So you get to wake up to some beautiful days and everything. So
absolutely.
Being able to sleep and do the things you want to do, right?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, that's rough. How would you feel if somebody were able to give you some solutions to that without having to spend a whole lot of time in the physical therapist office or get anything cut?
If I can go without being under the knife, which, you know, I've avoided the knife a lot of times and it's been good results, that would be the ideal situation for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like to do everything I possibly can to be able to help you through this. You know, I've hypnotized over 30,000 people, many of whom are are locked in my closet. No, I'm kidding. Many of whom are, have dealt with problems very much like yours. So what I'd love to do is maybe tell you a little bit about the kind of work I do and how I might be able to help you out with this. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing about?
I'd be interested in hearing, but I got to jump in about 30 seconds.
Perfect. One real quick question. Do you believe that the mind can have an impact on the body?
100%.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna have a lot of good things to talk about next time we get together.
I don't think I can be hypnotized, though.
Yeah, I've heard that before too.
The closet, right?
That's right.
Hey, Frank, you got a call in 10 seconds, but you can jump back with Dr. Steven right after it.
What's that?
You have a call in about 10 seconds, Frank, but you can get back on with Dr. Steve afterwards.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's plan a time to have me walk you through a process of understanding what this is and what it isn't. And as I said, if this sounds like a good thing for you, then we'll move forward with that.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
The call.
Great meeting. Good talking to you, buddy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Dr. Steve. Frank, if you had one word to explain how it felt in that connection with Dr. Steve, what would that one word be?
Comfortable.
Awesome. All right.
Yep.
Dan, are you ready, sir? Who would you like Frank to be?
Someone who believes they have a bigger message in life and they need a bigger platform to share that message and figure out a way to get paid, because getting paid to speak is a report card on the difference you're making.
Frank, this sounds like a very interesting role play, eh?
Yes, it does. It's right up my alley.
Right, let's go. Take us in.
So, Frank, I love your last name. As we explore one another's lives, I understand, as I've done my due diligence before I talk to you, I always try to find out who with whom I'm speaking and a little bit about your background so we can cut right to the chase. And with your involvement with Tony Robbins and being on stages and seeing the impact that one person can have on thousands and through the ripple effect, millions of people, would you be interested to be able to be that person on stage, to know that you're making a difference, knowing that you can tell the right kind of a story to trigger the right kind of brain chemical that will activate a specific kind of action based on what you're talking about? Would you be interested in that?
Well, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Dan, it's kind of a life goal to be on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people. I've had small experiences of it. And it's like a drug. I'm totally addicted to it. And I know that I have a good message that I want to share. And I would love to be on a big stage. Love to do more of that.
I love that. Well, when I analyze, after 35 years as a professional speaker, I've analyzed how we really connect with people. Do you agree that the definition of sales is the transference of trust? Think about it.
I would say at some level, yes. It's basically influencing people through integrity to get to yes. It's getting people to do what they already want to do.
Exactly. And one of the quickest ways that we can connect with people and develop that depth of trust so they'll listen and believe and take action on our words is to connect at that emotional level. So would you be interested if you could figure out what your signature story is, what your true message is, what you would drive 5.5 hours one way to say to somebody for free? Would that be of interest to you to help?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your messages?
Absolutely.
Would you also agree that that knowledge is power, but knowledge has no heart? We don't learn to know, we learn to do, which means reason leads to conclusions, but it is emotion that leads to action. So if you buy into that theory and that philosophy, would it be of interest to you to learn how to connect with people so quickly through humor, through provocative quotes, and through emotion that they will always take action on your words and remember what you said? Would that be of interest to you?
That would be of huge interest to me. Absolutely.
Very cool. I would love to set up an appointment with you to talk about what I call speak like a pro, because what we have to do is answer questions. In medicine, what we learn and what we know is that prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. And so we've all been conditioned to believe that in order to get a better answer, we got to ask a better question. What my system will do is ask you questions that will question your current answers. You see, everybody says that the number one fear of people is the fear of speaking in public. And I've discovered that the number one fear is not speaking well in public. So would you be of interest, would you be interested in coming up, maybe spending some time, hopefully belly to belly time, taking you through this process to help you quantify every one of your stories, to make people laugh, to make people think, and to make people cry so they remember it?
Sure. I would love to do that,
And
especially
even
with
if
another fellow Clark.
I can teach you how to use quick.
Hey, Frank, you got to call. Frank's got to call in about 20 seconds.
Yeah. Sorry, brother, but I hope we can reconnect, man, because I feel like we have.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well, Dan, that was awesome. Frank, one word, how did it feel?
It felt intriguing. I'd say intriguing.
That's like my grandmother saying, I want you to date this girl, she's interesting. Come on, man.
You dropped
All
a
right,
lot,
let's drop in
a
and
lot
see
of
what
quotes, and you dropped
let's-
a lot of, fun facts. And so it was intriguing.
Wait, there's a round 2 coming up. Let's see what the judges have to say on round 1. Judges, on a 10-point scale, we're going to give about 20 seconds of what worked, 20, 25, 30 seconds on what was a growth opportunity for each Dr. Steve and for Dan. And let's start with Rick. What do you got, Rick?
Rick's muted. Rick, you got to unmute.
Rick, you're muted, Rick. Rick, you're muted.
Sorry, guys. So what we're looking for is what worked, you're saying, on a scale of what? 1 to...
Yeah, 1 to 10. 10 being like you're going to give one bottom line score for Dr. Steve round 1 and for Dan for round 1 based on the depth of emotional rapport, putting something at stake. And you're going to share for each person like 20 seconds or so on what you thought worked, 20 seconds of a growth opportunity, then their score. And you can start with Dr. Steve.
Okay, and it's one bottom line. Is that what we're saying? Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. One bottom line. Yeah.
All right, good. What worked with Dr. Steve that I liked for sure was determining the issue. Really good questions to dig down in and find out what the issue was. Like Dan mentioned in the start of it here, you have to find out what the issue is before you set up any prescription. So I did a really good job of that. I like Dr. Steve's approach as well with the use of humor. And he subtly built in credibility. Subtly built that in, which was good. And I picked up on that and enjoyed that very much. So I see that there on the growth side of things, there's opportunity there for Frank to grow based on the help that Dr. Steve can provide him. And certainly, as Frank said, feeling comfortable coming out of a conversation is good. That's a good place to be.
Awesome. And so what'd you have for a score?
It's 1 total score out of
10.
Out of 10, we're going with 8.
Excellent. And for Dan?
Now, with Dan, interesting and different approach, which I really liked as well. Obviously, building a lot of, I say, commonalities from starting with the name to the fact that they're both speakers and influencers and want to come in that direction. So that was a nice approach that he did there. And he got him to come up with the 3 yeses we talk about in sales as well. When you talk about sales, do you believe that it's transfer of trust? Yes. Connecting emotionally? Yes. So you're buying into it that way, which is a different approach as well. But all the time thinking about and having them consider, how do we help more? How do we help more people on a regular basis? So I think that worked really well. And the growth piece is there as well, because that's where Frank wants to grow. And he should look at Dan and say, wow, that's where I want to be, in front of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. So I thought that went really well as well.
Awesome. And a score?
Going to go here with 7, just because I thought that Dan was a lot more salesy towards it, and I'm not sure that that's what Frank wanted to hear at the time. But I love Dan.
Awesome. All right, let's go. Thank you, Rick. Felix, what do you have for Dr. Steve? And then we'll go with Dan.
Dr. Steve, I'll give you a 9. I really love how you use VAC, right? So you use the kinesthetic, you're using visual, you're using auditory words to really engage him in all 3 areas. I love that you asked a lot of questions about like just feeling his pain, right? Just like understanding why he really wants to get rid of it, especially the sleep part. So you're getting a really good why, and then you're looking to solve it. So I really appreciate that kind of approach, and obviously that comes from my model of the world. So I think it could you probably could go a little deeper into the pain. Like what is he not like? What is it costing him? Right? What is not sleeping costing him? And then how you can then, like your system, how it can solve those problems so easily and get him out of pain very quickly. Just a little bit more time. That's all. In like 3 minutes.
Awesome. Excellent. And so you had a 9. And how about for Dr. Dan?
So Dan, I give you a 7. So your approach definitely works. It's just not my model of the world approach. your approach is just building this. You're kind of like building a big wave, and you're just like, do you agree? Do you agree? Do you agree? Right? And so I always see that approach as, okay, so when somebody says that, it's they're more like they're trying to, like, they're giving me a statement. They're not really asking me a question. I think if you had just switched it to just asking Frank, why is it important to you to be on stage? You know, when you see those people out there and you're sharing your story and you're changing their lives, how does that make you feel? Why do you want to do this, Frank? Right? So that's my model of the world, right? So I'm more of an I person in DISC. So I like to influence by figuring out what it is. Now, not everybody works that way for everybody, but that's what I would do more of. And just to be able to use more of your humor. You're funny as hell. I mean, just crazy funny. And just a little bit more of that humor, I think, would just breaks people down just like that. I mean, you have that gift. You really do.
Awesome. And thank you very much. And Lauren, what did you have for, thank you, Felix. Lauren, what did you have for Dr. Steve and for Dan?
So if it's okay with you, I like to remain as an observer. I don't really understand what we're doing. So I don't feel like I should have anything to say about it for now.
Okay. So the only thing, Lauren, you can absolutely do that. We're not asking for any specific analytics. It's more like how, if you want to, not like it's a simple criteria, is how did you feel the depth of connection was? If it was a sales meeting, how deep was the connection? And what did you experience from the way Dr. Steve went and from the way Dan went? If you don't want to comment at all, fine. Or if you just want to comment and not score, that's completely fine too. But you're more than welcome to participate or not.
I appreciate that. I just, I don't think I understood what we were doing here today. So I just need to get my mind wrapped around it. That's all.
Okay. Very, very cool. So yeah, so I'll share this, and maybe in the second round, you can have some perspective. We're here to evaluate like influence as a superpower. This is kind of like, you know, March Madness meets, you know, a training session meets having some fun and connecting together. Like that's what's happening, what's present. So thank you for that. My apologies for whomever communicated with you about being on today that didn't share that. This is about our 90th Real Raw. And, you know, so that was an unfortunate challenge. So my apologies for that, Lauren.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go to round two. So in round two, the choice is yours, Dr. Steve. Would you like to go first or second in round two?
Can't
I
hear
think
you.
Dr. Steve is muted.
Dr. Steve,
Yeah,
you're muted.
Muted?
That better?
Yes, got you. Would you like to go first or second this round?
I'll go first again. Dan intimidates me so much as being he's so damn good at what he does that if I go after him, then I'm gonna collapse into a puddle of uselessness. So,
Right.
Excuse
No
me.
worries.
Excuse me, 9.
Yeah, right? So,
All right.
Dr. Steve, this is just a continuation. It's just like
Yeah.
Frank just called back. It's like, hello, you just pick up from there. So take us
Frank,
in.
you ready to go?
All right.
Hey,
Hey,
Frank.
Dr. Steve.
Yeah, Frank, good to hear from you again. So you're in Florida. You used to be what, up in Boston? Is that what I heard?
Correct. I was in Boston and in California for many
I
years.
grew up on Long Island, New York, and I left there before I got much older because, you know, if you leave, you know, once you hit 65, if you're in New York, they require you to go to Florida.
Yeah,
And,
prerequisite.
I want to do that, you know. So,
They force you to drive down here too, unfortunately.
so I hear. That's awesome. So listen, let me tell you what I've got from our little conversation is that you seem to be a pretty active guy and you want to stay that way, and you've gotten some advice that's not the very best. For what in terms of what appeals to you anyway, I think. And I'd like to be able to help you. You seem like a nice guy. The kind of work that I do is designed to use your mind to heal your body. And I think you already said that you believe that's possible. And I've certainly seen it happen again and again. Let me tell you something interesting about pain. Acute pain that just came along because of a recent injury, it's something that we need. It's important. It tells us that there's a problem. But chronic pain usually serves no useful purpose, and it gets in the way of our day-to-day activity. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So what happens is, if you think of a fire alarm, right? If you know, the typical thing would be that the fire alarm goes off, the fireman comes, they put the fire out, turn the fire alarm off, they leave, right? Well, in other cases, what happens is, you know, the fire alarm goes off, the firemen come, they put the fire out, they forget to reset the alarm. Now, how would you like to be living in a house where the alarm's going off all the time?
Would not like that at all.
No, but you are right now, right?
Like
So
raising
you
babies again.
So
There you
what
go.
we do using the technology that I've developed, which is what I call the unhypnosis system, is essentially recalibrate your subconscious mind, and in doing so, recalibrate your autonomic nervous system so that it basically changes the way it relates to whatever tissue damage there might be. So you're not throwing off a big alarm for a problem that doesn't require a big alarm, and that makes you more capable of doing things you need to do. We find that people who get stuck in chronic pain, sometimes they think they need it to prevent themselves from doing certain things, but the reality is usually that chronic pain, because it masks new pain, is actually more dangerous than old pain, than not having the pain, right? So you're better off without that. I think you probably would agree with that. So the kind of work I do, here's how it works basically, is we put together a program for you. I start out with a hypnotic process that involves a little neurolinguistics, a little bit of actual trance work, a little bit of mindfulness work. I do a lot of work in the area of mindfulness so that you change your relationship with pain. And then over the course of our first session together, we record that. And then you get the recording, you listen to it on a regular basis. We take another period of time, do a little bit more work, talk to you a little bit more about the mindfulness process, which will help you move through this more quickly and deeply. And then we'll have a follow-up strategy session and see where you're at and what needs to happen at that point. Does that sound like something that would interest you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything that's other than going under the knife right now, I'm open game for.
I'm excited to do that for you. I mean, you sound like the kind of guy who I like to work with. I work with a lot of athletes. Tell me what you need to hear from me so we can lock arms and get this condition resolved once and for all for you, and get it happening.
I guess from you, what I'd like to do, Dr. Steve, is maybe talk to a couple of people that you've hypnotized, their experience about it. Again, from somebody that doesn't believe he can be hypnotized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe somebody like that, and just their experience on how it's changed their pain levels.
Absolutely. So that's something we can certainly provide. And the other thing is maybe we need to answer a few more questions for you when we have a little more time about what hypnosis is and what it isn't.
Sure.
So, and maybe I can make that a little bit clearer for you as well.
That'd be great. Because I don't want to be
Frank, you got to grab a call in 15 seconds, Frank.
Okay. 15 seconds, Dr. Steven. I got a blast. I'm sorry. Well, I think I lost you, dude. Well, let's grab that meeting.
All right, excellent, Dr. Steve. Okay, we'll get him back on in a second. So great job. Frank, one word for how it felt, that encounter with Dr. Steve.
Very comfortable, very comfortable.
Excellent, appreciate that. So Dan, are you ready for round 2, sir?
An armored up warrior never has to get ready. He stays ready. Bring it on, baby.
Bring it.
All right, let's go. Take us in, Dan. I love this man. Go ahead.
Franco, I'm so glad we reconnected, and I've given you a chance to let what we talked about incubate a little bit, percolate. Now that I know that you want to be on stage and massively change people's lives forever, I want to make sure you understand my simple process. What I do is I interview you to make sure they're your stories. And then we send them to an app, the transcript comes back, and then we isolate every story that has a hello and a goodbye. And the only way we can connect with folks, you're so passionate. I love your smile. I love your look. Your hair hasn't moved since 1977. You got it all, spray and tan. You got it all. So when you walk on stage, why would you adulterate your experience and just give them facts and figures and narrate some boring PowerPoint slides? My system allows you to eliminate every barrier, like a podium, every barricade, and immediately connect. So once we identify your stories and capture your material, then we go back and we ask provocative questions. Okay, what life lessons did you learn from these stories, Frank? One story at a time. And then, because reason leads to conclusions, but it is emotion that leads to action, which is what we talked about in our first call, we have to make every one of your stories funny, provocative, and emotional. So we will have so much fun laughing together and helping you create and find the humor in every story, adding a provocative quote and then making it emotional so people remember it. Remember, the goal is to have everybody leave you one-on-one, one-on-10, 1 in 10,000, saying, I like me best when I'm with you. I want to see you again. So my system teaches us how to be funny, and we never tell a joke, because if we tell a joke and no one laughs, we bomb.
Right.
But if we say something funny that's in your wheelhouse, and then we make a point, if no one laughs, we never bomb, because we've taught a principle. Classic example. You could say, I don't know who inspires you, but when my Aunt Lucy was 63 years old, she started walking 5 miles every day. Now she's 91 and we don't know where she is. That's funny.
That's funny.
And so what you would teach is you would say, we laugh, but you realize the number one limiting belief that holds leaders back is focusing on strategic direction instead of answering where we are. Now here's where you leave the provocative quote. It's like ordering an Uber ride that requires that we enter in our current location. If we lie about where we are, the directions won't work.
Right.
So in my system, we'll take your story, we'll find the humor in it, we'll come up with a clever way for you to introduce through humor the principle you want to teach. Remember, all the information in the world is going to make a person successful. It's like the guy who has 3 PhDs, one in philosophy, one in psychology, one in sociology. He doesn't have a job, but at least he can explain why. As we practice what we preach, that's not enough. We must preach only what we practice. And in a quick amount of time, we need to teach you, and we will. You'll be an expert in drawing emotion. For example, a mother encourages her little girl to come home as soon as school is over. The time comes, the time goes. 30 minutes late, her daughter walks in through the front door of her home and her mother scolds her. Where have you been? I've been worried sick. She says, oh, Mommy, I walked my friend Sally home from school. She dropped her doll on the sidewalk. It broke all to pieces. It was awful. Her mother said, so you're late because you stayed to help your friend pick up the pieces of the doll and put it back together again? She said, oh, no, Mommy, I didn't know how to fix the doll. I just stayed to help her cry. I know, Frank, from your background and all the due diligence I've done on your life and your participation at on the biggest stages in the biggest movements, now it's your turn to be that guy. It's your turn to be on stage and connect, not just talk, but teach and emotionally move everyone to leave saying, I like me best when I'm with you. I want to see you again. If you're interested, my time-tested system and proven process is an online course so you can study and watch it at your own speed with follow-up coaching calls so I can guide you through this online course, isolating every single one of your experiences and extracting the life lessons. And then, as I said before, so critically important to my system, making every story funny, every story provocative, and every story emotional. And just through your look and your presence, I can tell, Frank, when you walk into a room, people stop and say, who is he and what does he do? So why not take advantage of your it factor that we call it? You either have it or you don't. You can't train it. You can't teach it. Yeah. You have it, brother. And I want to be your coach to take you to the next level. So when you walk on a stage, people are completely blown away. Remember, if you walk on stage and you're nervous, it's about you.
Right.
But if you're excited, it's about the other people. Right. So as we study our system together, it's all about seeking to bless, not impress, like Sean is so famous for in bringing us together and introducing us in this call. I hope we can set an appointment. I hope you'll look into my online course and especially look forward to those one-on-one private coaching calls so we can dig deep and make you everything that you dream to be as far as a communicator and changing the world one story, one person at a time. What do you think, brother?
Well, yeah, it's amazing, Dan. I mean, I hope that my hair moves, so you at least can get some.
So last 10 seconds.
I got to bounce, Dan, but look, I love telling stories and I have lots of them. And I also believe in humor as well as being part of the story. So yeah, I think that, taking that approach is something I'm very comfortable with.
Very cool. I look forward to getting you together.
Beautiful
All right,
job.
brother.
Beautiful.
Let's get the Clarks together.
That's it. Frank, if you had one word to describe the feeling of that interaction, what would that word be?
Connected. A lot more connected this time.
Cool. Lauren, are you out there? Is Lauren still here? Do we have Lauren?
Lauren?
We've lost Lauren.
Oh.
It was Lauren. Okay. So let's go with Felix. What do you have for, let's start with Dr. Steve and go from there.
Okay, so Dr. Steve, you initially started with rapport again. I like that. And this is something and then you start going to the system. I really enjoyed the metaphor of the fire person turning off the alarm, and it actually made me start thinking about, that's great because it makes everybody else start thinking about it too. Using those metaphors is fantastic. Obviously, like, Tony's a wizard at this with like 20,000 people. He can do, like, you're doing your transformation on people even when they don't realize you're doing it, and people are just listening, right? So you even mentioned a little bit about, I work with a lot of athletes, right? But you didn't go into it. And one other thing it would have been great if you had asked like a little bit more of what the pain is robbing him of, right? And then show, like, giving him discrete examples. Oh, I worked with this athlete to work on with this kind of, oh, you have shoulder pain? I worked with this athlete on this shoulder pain. This is what we did. And here's how we just knocked it out. And like 2 sessions, we're done, right? Because you can do things that other people can't do. And you know that. So it's like, so that I would bring even more like more examples out to him to show him that, like, because he doesn't believe in hypnosis. So use the examples to get him past that belief, or show him how he's already hypnotized. Right? Okay. That was my buzz. I think that was my timeout buzz.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, what would you have for a score?
I would give him an 8 on that one.
Awesome. And for Dan?
So for Dan, I give you a 7. So the great part about it is that you use humor, you connected that way. You gave him a huge amount of information about like stories, about being funny, about like not using jokes, instead telling some funny stories instead, right? And that's beautiful. I think one thing is, I don't know if Frank really spoke at all during that whole talk. And I think you probably want to ask him, like, I think it would be better just to get, like, ask him, Frank, what are your biggest fears about going on stage, right? You're in front of, like, say you're with Tony now, you're in front of 3,000 people. What are your biggest fears? Because you've helped so many people pass those fears. Get to his specifically and just show him how it immediately helps him. Give him some concrete things immediately, like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's easy. Oh, there's no more sell, right? It's just, he has to do it because he's already getting super value from you. And I know you've got that in huge spades.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah. And I have a thought on that too in a moment. So Felix, great job. Incredible feedback. And what'd you have for a score?
I gave him did I say 7 or 8?
Oh, you did say 7. I'm sorry. You said 7. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And so great job, Felix. Rick, what did you have for Dr. Steve and for Dan?
Great. Let's have a look at Dr. Steve here. Clarified what he'd heard previously very well to then transition into the next conversation. Shared solutions for buy-in, which was very good. Had some enthusiasm, but could have had more, I think, as well. And I reiterate what Felix said, paint the picture of that outcome. What's that really going to look like for him? Why is he going to be excited about that? That would be important as well. Trial closed really well. Is this what you're looking for? And so on. Took him along that pathway quite well to the actual final close. So I thought that was very good. And again, utilized what you'd want from a psychologist and doctor and so on, I believe, which would be the soft approach, a gentle approach to that, to bring him along and give him huge confidence that, yeah, this is the right direction. This is the person and the solution for me. And through all that, I gave Dr. Steve an 8.
Awesome. And for Dan?
And let's look at Dan here again. Did clarify some of the issues early on to address, and then used his humor again, as he does tremendously, and used some praise in there as well, which is always good, especially for us. Painted a very good picture of the outcome. So Frank's sitting there envisioning himself where he wants to be on those stages and getting excited about that. So I think that was really good as well. And then actually used what he's going to teach Frank in his closing and started telling those stories that drew Frank in as well, and probably everybody else on the call, like Dan's so good at. And of course, sharing his excitement was good. I'd agree with Felix as well. Needs more interaction. Needs to ask a bit more questions and have it bi-directional to make sure that he's on track, not just maybe saying his scripted sell, if you will. So that's a little more of what. Having said that, Dan, I'm bought on because I want to be a speaker on more stages. So call me. I'm in. I gave him an 8.
Awesome. Yeah. So if I could drop in real quick. So Dr. Steve, it's a fantastic job, and consistent with what some of the judges were sharing. I think just deepening something at stake. And remember, everybody here is super successful. I mean, and the difference between being Oprah Winfrey and somebody who has a show that's on for 10 years, but you're not Oprah, and somebody has a show on for 2 years and you're not the 10-year person, and 2 years and, or not quite making a show. These are microscopic distinctions that to the naked eye outside observer on a quick review is sort of invisible. So what we're unlocking is the highest levels of influence. I often talk about it through this prism, that an income in the United States, being the top 1%, you make $400,000 a year, 0.1%, 1.7 million, 0.01%, 7.8 million, 0.001%, 56 million. So it goes up by more than 100x between the 99th and the 99.999. So that's the microscopic distinctions we're talking about in terms of influence, what unlock insanity. So a thought quickly, because Dan, man, your emotional energetic transference was off the charts. Your congruence, your certainty, completely mind-blowing. What I might suggest a thought about, and consistent with what the judges were sharing, is Frank, can we jump in real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's start, let's pretend we put Dan, all of the incredible things Dan did about his heroic, unique identity, him speaking on stages all around the world, and him articulating those facts that he did. And let's say it was primed perhaps with this emotional rapport building, putting something at stake. So, hey, Frank, thanks so much, brother, for taking the call. Remember, this is Dan. We met at that event a couple weeks ago and said we'd chat for 5 minutes. All I need is 3, but how are you?
I'm doing really well, Dan. Thanks. It's nice seeing you again.
Yeah, no, great seeing you. Hey, so when we were chatting at that event, you mentioned your desire to create a platform for yourself. And I just want to know, how's that going and why are you interested in doing that?
Well, I'm interested in doing it because I understand that there's a need out there for the people want to hang out with other people that are driven, that feeling of significance, that feeling of accomplishment, that adrenaline junkie kind of mentality. We all have it inside ourselves, and being able to tap into that when we need to, it's just a great experience, and also to teach people to give back to others and help bring that out in other people is something that I would like to share with the world. And I think we need more of that, more of the giving to get mentality.
Yeah. And so I get it, but I heard 2 things. I heard there's a component that's about you enjoying it, loving it, which of course has to be there. But I think the more important piece I'm interested in focusing on and working with is your desire for impact. I heard that. Could you give me a little bit more on that? If you have it all your way and you get everywhere that you want to get to, what's that impact look like you're having on people?
Well, the impact is to have people become happier in their life and understand at any given moment when they're down on the dumps, when they're stressed, when they're anxious, that they have the internal fortitude, that they have the drive, they have that one little, like you said, Dan, that micro distinction, right? That 0.001%. And sometimes that's all the shift that somebody needs to take place, and it catapults the trajectory of their life in such a positive and influential way.
Okay.
And it's tapping
Awesome.
into that.
Yeah. And I know you've done a lot, you've accomplished a lot in your life, but sometimes people say they want things and it's if this doesn't happen, now let's just assume none of it ever happens. You're not on stages, you're not communicating that way. It's not, most people don't ever do that in their life. How much does that matter to you? You're there, it's you have the blessing and privilege of knowing it's your last day, and that never happens. How does that work for you or not?
Well, how it works for me is there's a phrase I learned once before, that hell on earth would be to meet the man I could have been. And I know that, I have a lot of potential, and I know that I inspire a lot of people when I do talk to them. But the man I could have been would be to inspire more, to leave my mark on the planet in a much greater way than I already am. And, I do believe that to affect one person's life is to be successful, to breathe, or to know that one person has breathed easier, as Emerson said, has breathed easier because you existed. This is the world, the element and the definition of success. And so, yes, I totally agree with that. However, the person I could be, the man I want to be, is to influence millions and just have a bigger reach.
All right, brother. So would it be okay in our next call, because I know we're out of time for now, if I shared a little bit about my background and myself and how we can ensure that you never experience hell on earth, ever, and that you have the impact that you're destined to have in this world? Would that be an okay topic for our next conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You tap into that would be great.
Yeah. So, and then if Dan drops in, my 2 cents, right? Then Dan drops in with 35 years all around the world, massive impact, the energy, the humor, the people, right, to preserve Frank from experiencing hell on earth. Just quick thought, Felix, how would that how was that? What did you feel about that emotional for putting something at stake, then being backed up by Dan's incredible presentation on his skill set?
So Frank, I mean, that's your talk. That's your talk right there. Hell on earth is meeting the man I could have been. And that hits all of us, right? And so, I mean, Sean, you did an amazing job of just asking the questions to pull it out, right? Find that why. Find what drives Frank. I mean, you can even see it in his eyes. When he talks like that, it's like you can see the emotion come up immediately. And Dan, I want to let you know, like, one thing is that you actually did that in that one moment. You said, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's your turn. As soon as you lowered your voice a little bit and you felt it, and you okay, I'm good. That's it.
Yeah, no, Dan looks unbelievable. So I think what I'm hoping to illustrate, I want to get Dan's perspective in a sec, is when we first put something at stake coming from their mouth, and then drop in with what was one of the most powerful presentations of heroic, unique identity that has yet occurred in the Real Raw, which was Dan articulating his superpowers. I was like mesmerized, and I do this every day. I have a $250,000 bet out on the internet for charity that I can't be out influenced. And this is the second time I'm going to say it. I would feel a little bit nervous in that conversation going up against Dan. That was unreal what was at stake there. And a lot of you on this call, truthfully, this is an amazing group. So Dan, what was your thoughts about how we put something at stake for Frank? Honestly, what'd you feel?
I'm coachable. I appreciate this. This is invaluable. I can't put a price tag on this. You know, someone that we have as a mutual friend, Sean, is Tim Ballard. I live here in Utah. I do a lot of stuff with Operation Underground Railroad.
Oh, wow.
And as you were just talking there, it reminded me, especially with your feedback, Felix, that we need to ask questions and then listen. And through psychological reciprocity, you just taught me, Sean, you just coached me that when we ask people the right questions and then stop and listen, it creates a moral obligation for them to immediately, when they get through talking about what's important to them, it creates a moral obligation for them to immediately ask me about myself and listen with real intent. Mm. And you just reminded me, I think I know that, but thanks for slapping me around in a very classy way to be more diagnostic, to ask more questions, to get people talking about themselves, and then figuring out, as a good doctor will, like Dr. Steve did, okay, what's your pain? And then how can I help you overcome or deal with that pain? Even if it's the pain of speaking in public, you know, if you're prepared, you shall not fear. So I've learned so much just from this call. I appreciate you so much. And maybe I was, those who talk and not listen, they're insecure. And I guess in my vulnerability, I was a little bit insecure, saying I wanted Frank to like me. I wanted Frank to love me. I wanted to make sure Frank knew everything about me, when in reality, I should have found out everything about him, which would actually almost morally force him to inquire about me. And it's at that level that we transfer trust. It's at that level that we connect. It's the steps of intimacy. I can't stand on stage and ask somebody to kiss me. I have to at least hold hands first and go through the steps of intimacy. So again, I thank all of you. This has been invaluable, and I've been doing this for so long. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Dan, I would say you're more than welcome. Any friend of Mr. Tim Ballard is a friend of mine, number one. Number two, I am extraordinarily impressed. And I don't say a word I don't mean, by your mechanisms of humor, provocative quotes, and there were things that I unquestionably learned from you. And I feel very, very confident in my level of mastery speaking, but I endlessly seek more. And you taught me things today and micro distinctions that were very powerful as well. So thank you for that. And that's what the Railroad is all about. So thank you. Dr. Steve, just real quick, how was today for you?
This has been, like, I feel so blessed and so grateful to be part of this thing. First of all, Dan is a friend and somebody that I look up to and admire, and I love the opportunity to do this. And it's just remarkable to me that he and I are going toe to toe in, like, this is like,
Yeah.
It's the highest honor there is. And then Rick, of course, as well.
And I know to that point, the next time we see each other, you're just going to go 9. That's not his new call sign, 9.
9, and then I'm gonna top it off by curling my tongue.
That's it. Beautiful
So,
job.
and
Thank
Sean,
you.
your clarity, Sean, is just so spot on. And hearing, what you did when you reflected back, those simple little nuances back to Dan, because it's not taking anything away from what he did, but just the fact that, you were creating a frame at the beginning. And I think that's what it was, a little bit more of a frame of listening, and a little bit more of a frame of reflecting on what his needs are before going in. And that's something that I always want to, go back and kind of make sure I'm doing, because especially when you've got a lot to say, you just sort of start saying it, and you have to really kind of pull yourself back from that default model to listen first. So
Yeah. And Dr. Steve, so, and I know we're a little bit over, so I'll just wrap with this, and I just want to, get a quick final from Rick and Felix in a moment. But 23 years I've been studying these concepts, and my solution has been, how do you create systems and formulas that make sense, but with the first key thing. So we have 4 steps, 10 indispensable elements, and 4 energies of integrity-based human influence. But indispensable element number 1 is to love people unconditionally with boundaries. And we come from a place of loving people. That's where listening begins. Yeah. And we talk about 5 levels of listening, and why and what's not said. There's unbelievable power in understanding what people are thinking through level 5 listening. It's all stories for a different day, but thank you for your contributions. I truly appreciate Dr. Steve. And Rick, how about yourself, brother? How was today for you?
It was fantastic. Thank you for having me be part of this. I had the opportunity, as mentioned, to be with Dr. Steve and with Dan before. For me to say anything to them is difficult, because I respect them so much. They're brilliant speakers and brilliant people. Absolutely. And I'm on the upward trajectory, and I'm just hoping to learn the whole time. So I learned from everybody today. I learned from yourself as well, Sean. Felix, great feedback too. So I can't thank you guys enough. I want to meet you. I want to be with you. I want to see how I can contribute more to some of the causes that you contribute to, so that I can have a more positive impact on more people. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, brother. And thank you, Rick, very much. Great job today. And Felix, very impressive feedback. Clearly, you are a master influencer. So what say you? How was your experience today as we wrap?
This is my first time, and I am amazed. You guys are incredibly heart-driven people, and the way that your message needs to be spread everywhere, because you heal, you teach, and you help people. Frank, just getting to that level of being that person that he sees himself. I mean, we all want that, and you guys have that. You guys have all the tools and all the experience to teach other people. So I thank you for doing what you do. And Sean, I mean, just amazing questions. Your questions are insane. So thank you as well.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. And Frank, thank you, Mr. Orange. How was your day today as we final close?
Today was awesome. Again, great speakers. You have some incredible talent here and some incredible wisdom. And it's nice to be a part of this community, and it's great to be just in the company of excellence with these other guys and yourself. Thank you.
Well, you belong and you lead, and we love you, brother, and have an amazing day, everybody. Thank you so much to Vivian. Thank you, Lauren, as well, for being here. And truly, we're all influencers, influencing influencers to merge ecosystems to make the world an even greater place. Thanks so much, and have a beautiful day.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Fantastic.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Great meeting you.